Welcome back to another Semen Retention Sunday episode on the Regal Change account. I am Thaddeus, and you can have everything that you want on semen retention. In fact, you can have everything that you want at any time you want. Semen retention is more of just like a natural vessel that you can have associated with yourself to really propel you into that next level. And this is exactly what I help people to do in my Godlike Mastery offer, is where I help them create a system that gets them out of systems. And in that creation of systems to get them out of systems is a process. And that process is ever evolving itself. Okay. And especially when it comes to the men that I work with that are on semen retention, they have to be very mindful not to idolize or romanticize the practice of semen retention, because it can feel like semen retention is the one, like it's the practice of semen retention that's doing everything. It's like, well, yes, it is to some degree, but it's also you embodying health, vitality, vigor, creative faculties. Hey, look, a squirrel. Wow, look at that squirrel right there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but anyway, yeah, he's just hanging out and chilling. He just came running down the tree, wanted to say hi. So, a lot of men will romanticize their suffering as well, and their suffering with lust on semen retention. And this is not really healthy either, because it really just puts you in a position where you kind of feel like without semen retention, you're nothing. And that's not what we want to encourage, okay? Because although I've been practicing semen retention for 4+ years now, I know that now that I'm here at 4+ years, I'm like, it's really not all it's cracked up to be. Like, really, like, it took me so long to realize how, it's just another, it's another part of the game of life, and I'm not saying that to degrade it necessarily, because I do think that it's a very valuable practice. It's a tool, though. It's like astrology or alchemy or tarot or whatever kind of method you want to use. It's a method. If it works for you, then great, do that method. But be mindful of idolizing the method. Okay, this is one of the other reasons why in my Godlike Mastery offer, I ensure people, I tell them before we start, like, look, I am the mastery education. I'm not the master, I'm not the educator. I am the mastery education here. And it's only going to be for those that are truly ready to transform themselves and truly ready to branch off into a completely new version of themselves. And especially for the men that do this type of practice, all you have to remember truly is that all you want already is here. Now, Neville Goddard talked a lot about the law of assumption, right? And Christ also in the Gospels talked a lot about how, knock and the door shall be opened. He said also that seek and you shall find. But what's even more interesting with the law of assumption is that when you embody the outcome, you actually ensure that by embodying that outcome, you are living the truth and letting die what is false. And by living the truth and letting die what is false, you are actively creating and curating your reality to such a degree that the proclivity that you have to do any type of negative thoughts cease to exist. That is accelerated with the semen retention practice, because you can't really be living a peaceful life while having a negative mind, right? You just cannot do that. But if you seek and you find, What that really means, it's not that there's a seeker. It's not that there's a finder. It's that you find out. It's like the F around and find out. It's funny because it's a paradox. In spirituality, when you F around and find out, you find out that there was nothing to find out. You're like, oh, there's nothing here. Oh, there's nothing here. Wow, that's cool. So I was just looking for nothing the whole time. Yeah, pretty much. Like, you just get to a point to where there is just timelessness. And this is where the Regal Change old-timers who are familiar with the Regal timeline theory comes into play. So your narrative structure that you project into the symbolic narrative field, that is absolutely and unequivocally the narrative structure of peace, of joy, of justice, of mercy, of truth, all of these things, when you actually project that into the narrative field, your reality has no choice but to obey you, because you're no longer focused on the negative things. Your thoughts are so powerful. Like in the semen retention case study that we just conducted, and if you haven't watched the results from that, go to the previous video before this and look up the Regal retention case study, because that study suggests that semen retention is not like an end-all be-all when it comes to the practice of discipline, of energy, etc., but it increasingly enhances it. And then what it does is it can also decrease the desires and the urges so that you can increase your creativity. And the more that you increase your creativity and your workflow and your focus and your determination and your discipline and your social skills, all these, your confidence, all these different domains of your life, the more that you do this, the more aware you are of this, the more that you can truly enhance your life for the better. And that is a beautiful thing, because once you're actually able to do that, you do live the truth and let die what is false. You do live out what is actually in your own mind, because if you don't let go of that which is in your mind that is negative, then of course your life is going to be something that you don't want it to be, right? But if you're able to let go of the past to such a degree that all that is what you want it to be, and you just assume that it's going to be the case, then you can just have fun ignoring reality and have everything that you want. Because you can get to a point in the material world, like, because think about this in the realms of like security and safety in the material world. So in the material world, money is the primary method of security, whereas internally, the primary method of spiritual security is to be at one with the soul of existence, right? So what that means then is that you have to learn how to let go of the material and let the energy flow so that more energy can come in and that you can just be the vessel for the energy in of itself. I mean, this is just something that is very natural, and you'll start to see this more the more that you level up. But if you're stuck in your head, like, it's kind of funny because now it's like, well, how much do you want to romanticize your suffering? How much do you want to romanticize it? Because it's entirely up to you. Like, it's just, how much do you want to suffer unnecessarily? And if your answer is, well, I don't want to suffer unnecessarily at all, well, it's like, okay, well, then who's wanting that exactly? Well, it's me. I want that. Well, because it's what I want. But who's I? Just notice that there is a wanting, there is a yearning, because you have to want it bad enough. Like, this is something that I had to tell somebody last week, or I guess it was a week and a half ago, from my Godlike Mastery offer. I told them that they were not ready. And, as a business, that's not a good, it's not a good route to take, right? But then I trusted that in me doing this, it would open up the doors for the right people. And guess what? Literally within days, it opened up the doors for the right people. So this is just, again, you have to treat yourself as an energy vessel, because that's what you are. You're an electromagnetic satellite being who is so at one with the soul of existence, with God, that nothing material out here is truly a reflection of you. Because a lot of people can get attached to like having nice things, and there's nothing wrong with having nice things, but just know that it's a role that you're playing. There's nothing wrong with, being poor. There's nothing wrong with that. But just notice that if you don't want to feel secure in the external world, you don't want to have everything in the external world because you want to be spiritually righteous, then you'll soon realize that, or you'll just maybe not in this life, but who knows, ideally, but even then it's like we're all doing the best that we can anyway. So what I'm saying here is that if you let go of the external security to the degree in which you don't have a desire for money anymore, that's actually going to hinder you, because internally you may seek God and you may seek the soul of existence, but externally, if you're not realizing that there's still a role to play here, you're actually sabotaging yourself. You're actually getting to the point in which you're actually hindering your potential growth and the healing of not only yourself but potentially other people, if you're going to be a vessel for healing, by acting like money doesn't really matter, because it does matter. But it only matters because we think that it matters. And we have to treat it like the role to play that it is. It's basically, it basically is monopoly money. It's just, how much do you want to, how many houses do you want on that space? How many hotels do you want there? Or how much do you really want to own? It's all a game, right? It's all part of the game of life. And I'm not degrading the game of life, because it is a game, but I'm saying that it's like something numinous. There's something very numinous about it. And there's this type of serenity that we can have when we live the truth and let die what is false. And by living the truth with semen retention, again, it's like this can happen more on semen retention. It can be a vessel for more, but it's also because you're treating yourself with respect. A lot of people think that, it's the practice of semen retention that does the thing. It's like, it's a variety of different factors, but be mindful not to idolize the practice, because if you idolize the method or you idolize the practice, you kind of miss the point of the practice, or you miss the point of the method. And if you miss the point of the method, then you'll actually hinder your spiritual growth as well as your foundation for true acceptance of what is, because there's something to you that you want to see happen, and yet when that doesn't happen, then you say, then I have to face the facts. Facts don't really matter when it comes to spiritual ways of being. Like, think about this, right? A lot of men will be like asking me, but when am I gonna get married, or when am I gonna have a girlfriend, or like, how many girls can I really attract on semen retention? It's like, spiritually speaking, it doesn't really matter. Spiritually speaking, it doesn't really matter. What matters spiritually is just you working on yourself no matter what's happening. That's it. Like, it's really not as complex and magical and mystical as we want to think it is sometimes. But that's kind of the game of life again, right? That's just part of the life game. So all we have to do is accept what is and learn how to work on ourselves in the process. And that's really what semen retention ultimately does for us, as a catalyst, as a vessel. So with all that being said, I'm sure that this message was received by those who needed to receive it. And if you did receive it really well, go ahead and type regal timeline narrative in the comment section, and we're going to, hey, look, a dog. We're going to move into that regal timeline narrative that goes into timelessness together. So, peace be with you all. Be blessed. Until next time.